Okay, we are recording to the cloud. Ty, we ready to go?
I would give it, give it a little more time. Yeah.
Hi, this is Brian at Tag. Or two?
Yeah, hi, this is Brian at Tag. Is this Mark?
Yeah, hey Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking the time to deliver a webinar today. We greatly appreciate it.
We appreciate the attendees to do a webinar too.
Yeah, no, it looks like that we had a really good group that registered. It looked like, I don't know, did you send the list to Mark?
Yeah.
She did, yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Yeah, Mark, I'd give it a few more minutes to see if we'll wait for a few more minutes to get see who might be jumping on here.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I mean, so much stuff is going virtual. It's a whole new world. I mean, we've been doing webinars for years, but as part of Kaseya, we were doing Kaseya Connect local events, local user group events, and we had pretty good turnout. The larger cities, of course, we'd see 50 to 80, sometimes over 100 customers from the different business units, and we're forced to try and do these virtual now. And I got to admit, I was a little skeptical, but we're getting 50, 60 people on these things, and they're mostly sticking through it. So it's a new world.
Yeah, no,
of course,
absolutely.
We bought everybody pizza.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then what we'll do is once you get the recording done, just send it to Janet. We'll blast it out we'll blast it out with your contact information to all of our members.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But we're thrilled that I'll do a little intro real quick when we get started. But we're thrilled that obviously RapidFire Tools is now a premier partner of TAG, so that's fantastic.
Yeah, we're proud to be there finally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, Brian, can you hear me?
Is this Bill Parker?
This is Bill Parker, the one and only.
Yep, we can definitely hear you, Bill. Thrilled that you're on.
Just a separate note. If you have some time this afternoon, give me a call. I have a question for you. That's not
sure,
related.
No problem. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Sure. How about
also,
hey, Bill?
Brad,
how about
if you see Irma's online with us?
I'm sorry.
I said if you see the list, Irma has joined us.
Oh yeah, Irma, welcome. Spoke to Bill yesterday. We're thrilled that you're working with Bill again. So we're thrilled to be working with you. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
back.
you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Bill, maybe we can plan at 2:30. How's that? 2:30 my time, 4:30 your time.
I already have something at 4:30 Central for about 30 minutes.
How about after you get done with that, just give me a call.
I'll do that. Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Okay. We'll skip going in another minute, and then we'll kick it off here. All right, everybody. Well, this is Brian Seworth with TAG. We're thrilled that you're all here today. We have a great webinar plan with RapidFire Tools. We have been working with RapidFire for many, many, many years. It's a great organization. And we've known Mark for a very long time, and he's been supporting our members for many, many years. We're thrilled that this year that RapidFire Tools is a premier sponsor of TAG, or premier partner. You will find several TAG advantages for all of you as it pertains to pricing and other things on the TAG website under RapidFire Tools. So that's all set. So at some point after this webinar, strongly encourage all of you to go there. And Mark is recording the webinar. We'll get this out to everybody and all of Mark's contact information as well. So we're thrilled to have, again, RapidFire Tools as a partner of TAG, and obviously they bring a tremendous amount of value to all of us as in our abilities to service our end users, as you know, especially particularly with our own business at INET, which we leverage and utilize their tools with our customers from Ventura all the way down to San Diego. So with that being said, thank you so much for your time, Mark, and T, I greatly appreciate it, and we'll kick it off.
Fantastic. It's great to be here, Brian, and thanks for starting us off. So this is Mark Winter, VP Sales here at RapidFire Tools. I think I've met and know most of you who are on the line today. And with me today is Ty Saunders, our Senior Sales Engineer. What we're here to talk about is how to set up and sell a profitable insider cybersecurity service. And we're going to be talking about CyberHawk, and truly it's a platform for you to deliver internal cybersecurity monitoring for really all of your clients. I'm going to talk a little bit about the security need in the small to mid-sized business market. I'm going to actually speed through that and get us to Ty, who's going to show you CyberHawk, quick demonstration of what it looks like and how easy it is to configure. And then I'm going to spend a little time going over some of the 4 built-in blueprints or tiers that are set up for you to roll out to your customers immediately, along with some of the already done for you materials that are going to help you take it to market sooner. I think most of you know who we are. We're founded by Michael Mattel, and our focus for, gosh, I've been with the company over 13 years, and ever since I've been there, we've been providing tools for IT providers and MSPs. As you probably know us most, we're the makers of Network Detective, #1 IT assessment tool. Thousands of providers are using us worldwide. We sell direct, but also through our partnership with Continuum, which I think many of you take advantage of. So briefly, quick security need in the SMB market, which of course is most of our customer base, right? According to a Verizon data breach report, about 3/4 of victims are small businesses, and the financial impact average is almost 120,000. That's probably a year or so older data. It's probably a lot more than that now, and a lot of different causes from that, as you can see there. And the PCI Council estimates that 60 to 80% of attacks actually target the smaller merchants, right, our customers. And the sad fact is it's working, right? They are getting attacked. They are losing information and getting breached. As IT providers and MSPs, security for the longest time has really meant these basic standard controls. Things like firewall, antivirus, spam filtering, patching, email filtering, the list goes on. These have been around a long, long time. We couldn't live and run our customers' networks or our own networks without them, obviously. But the truth is they are commodities. They're low value, and as providers, they're not going to really differentiate us from the other MSPs in our markets, and they're not really sticky, right? I mean, everybody can offer this. Some additional facts. So from a recent Forrester study about internal threats, almost 1/3 of all security breaches were from lost or stolen devices that took too long to discover were missing. And you may hear of the concept dwell time, right? So it's the time when an event occurs and the discovery that the event occurred. And numbers vary. I think the most recent I heard were from an IBM study, and it was about 9 months. But even if it were just 1/3 of that, 3 months of knowing of something, of a breach occurring and knowing, it's a long, long time. Another 27% of breaches caused by inadvertent misuse of data by employees. And again, that dwell time often never discovered until well after the fact. Finally, about 12% of breaches are caused by malicious insiders. Those rogue employees that aren't suspected of being the type that might, compromise data maliciously. When you add it all up, about 70% of all data breaches came from internal vulnerability issues, not from hackers from the outside. So if you're not looking regularly on your customer's network, how do you know that things are right? Right? If you're not looking, can you know if employees are accessing systems they're not authorized for, or systems that are supposed to be locked down had changes made to them? Is everything protected against malware, and is everything up to date as far as patching, right? Customers, without our knowledge as MSPs and without the CEO's knowledge, often bring other devices onto the network because they can, right? I mean, they're smart enough these days and can connect it. And if they're not protected, if they're not running our RMM and they don't have our centralized AV, they're not part of our centralized patch management, they become a very weak link, right? So, if you're not looking, how do you know if they're there? As we talked about a moment ago, are the rogue employees accessing systems after hours, or potentially are there bad actors that have gained access to valid login credentials and are logging into the network? And typically this would be outside of normal business time so that they're not discovered. Are there people with administrative rights who shouldn't have it? Is PII and credit card information on systems where it shouldn't be? And the list goes on and on. And the last one there, I shouldn't ignore that one. There's a class of malware, maybe you would call it, called footholds, otherwise known as advanced persistent threats, that aren't usually found by antivirus these days, and it takes other scanning tools to recognize when legitimate applications are being used to create a foothold into the network for an actor. And of course, the network keeps changing. Systems added without your knowledge, like I said, new vulnerabilities, people running applications they shouldn't that might have vulnerabilities that could compromise the network. And of course, stupid human behavior. People click on stuff, they're not educated. And that creates other ways for people to get in. You're probably familiar with the NIST cybersecurity framework. So it's got these 5 broad categories. And tools like Network Detective have been helping in the identified category for forever, right? People doing asset management need to know what's there, risk assessment, that type of thing. MSPs, this has been our bread and butter. So, these are all those foundational controls. The firewall, spam filtering, DNS filtering, antivirus, patching. This is where we've been making our money, and we couldn't run networks, like I said before, without it. But here's where I think the real opportunity is for MSPs. And that's why we've created CyberHawk. CyberHawk is a platform that looks for anomalies and events on a network. And until you can detect that something's occurred, you can't begin to help your customers respond and recover. So I think there's not a lot of people playing in this side. And the other tools out there are very expensive. So CyberHawk was designed as a platform for MSPs to help you white label and deliver to your clients your own cybersecurity offering. It is a complete platform. And the way we license it, it's unlimited CyberHawk software that you can deploy to all of your customer networks that are 250 or fewer computers. And the platform includes an email response system, which Ty will show you, along with a client portal that both your customers and you will log into. Again, Ty is going to show you this. And then there's a service plan creator, built-in blueprints, integration to the common PSAs. All that's built in. You'll be up and working quickly, and we've got the tools to help you roll it out fast. And what we've done as far as the service plans, we've created and built in 4 service plans. Now you can change these. If you prefer 5, you can add 1. If you prefer 3, you can delete 1. I mean, do what you want. But it's easier for you to start with something. And I'm going to go through the design and the thinking for all of these in a little while. But just know that there are these 4 basic plans, and I'm going to talk you through those. So at this point, I want to turn it over to Ty, who is going to show you what the technology looks like.
Thanks, Mark, and thanks everybody for taking time out of your day to watch this. I know everyone's busy, but as Mark said, what I'm going to cover is really the technology, so how this really works on a mechanical level, and what you're going to be dealing with as far as initial setup and dealing with this on a regular basis, really just maintaining the system and getting through all of these different alerts. So for starters here, let me show you how this really works. So CyberHawk is going to be installed on a single machine on your target network. And of course, you're going to have this on many target networks. But for your first network, you're just going to install this on any computer. And this can be deployed as a virtual machine or as a Windows service. So once you install this on that target system, it's going to communicate with our back end, and you can set up your initial scan configurations. So once this is installed, you can access this from anywhere. We have a centralized portal, so all your configurations for all of your customers are done through this central portal. And you set up the initial scan configurations. And it's going to ask you for things like your IP ranges, your administrative credentials, among a few other things. And it's just going to use that during its regular scans. Once you give it that information, it can scan all of the machines on the entire network. Again, this is just a single installation on one computer, and it's able to scan all those machines remotely. And what it's actually doing is it's taking every single day's scan and comparing it against the previous day's scan, and then it's looking for any of these policy violations, which I'll show you in just a few minutes. So when it finds a policy violation or something that warrants an alert, it's going to send out an email notification either to one of your technicians or to your customers, or you can generate a ticket within your PSA system. You can also manage all of these alerts from within this central portal as well. So your technicians can actually log in and manage all of these individual customer sites from within, again, this central portal. They can manage their to-do list and take action on all of these different issues. So there's two different deployment options. We have the virtual appliance and what we call the RapidFire Tools server, which is just a Windows service. The virtual appliance, which is installed as a VM, that requires a Hyper-V or a VMware server, 6 gigs of available RAM, 20 gigs of available hard drive space, and the RapidFire Tools server here on the right is just an agent that you install on a single machine, and it's just a 100 megabyte installer. It requires a Windows 10 machine, 2 gigs of RAM, 5 gigs of available disk space. So the different features as far as what you get more of one than the other is with your virtual appliance, you have access to the internal vulnerability scan. And when you use the RapidFire Tools server, that feature is lost. So if you have a customer who has a Hyper-V or a VMware server available, or they have the infrastructure available to set that up, I would always go with the virtual appliance because you get that internal vulnerability scan. It's a very big high value add. If you have a smaller customer that they might only have 10 seats and they just don't have the infrastructure to set up a VM. That's okay. You can use the RapidFire Tools installer. You just lose that internal vulnerability scan. But for somebody that small, it's probably not that big of a deal. Our alerts are broken down into several different categories. The first one here being access control. So this is not a comprehensive list, but this is a lot of them, so I'll just go over just a few so you can get a better idea of these different policies and alerts that you have access to. So restrict access to accounting computers only to authorized users. So what that's saying is that if somebody that is not an authorized accounting user attempts to log into an accounting-only computer, so something that's running QuickBooks or has customer financial data, that's going to trigger an alert saying unauthorized access to an accounting system. Or if you have computers that contain sensitive data. So if you have customers who are subject to HIPAA regulations and you have computers that have EPHI, you don't want people that are not authorized to access that type of data attempting to access those machines. So it'll trigger an alert saying unauthorized access to a computer containing EPHI. Authorized new devices to be added to restricted networks. If you're familiar with the CIS Top 20 or the CSE 20, this is number 5 on there, I believe. So anytime a new device is added to the network that was not there the previous day, that's going to trigger an alert saying we found a new device on the network. So if somebody plugs in a printer or a switch, or they connect to the wireless network and add their personal PC or a mobile phone, whatever it is, we're going to find it, we're going to trigger an alert saying somebody added this device, you should probably go investigate it. That's probably something that you, at the bare minimum, should have inventoried. And at the worst, it could be a rogue device that should not have access to the network that could be trying to pose an attack. Users being added or removed from the domain, so people basically making changes to Active Directory, adding or removing users. New local administrators, suspicious logins to computers. So if somebody logs in at 2 in the morning and that's outside of their normal login behavior, maybe they normally log in between 9 and 5 and this person logged in on a Wednesday at 2 a.m. That would trigger an alert because that's outside of their normal login behavior. Or if they try to log into a machine that they typically don't try to access, that would also be deemed suspicious. So those are your access control alerts. Now we have computers and network security. So for computers here, we will look for missing critical patches that have not been installed within 30 days of release. Now, you probably already have a patch management system in place, but this would just act as a redundant system that's going to look on top of that and make sure that it's doing its job. I think about maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, there was an issue with the WannaCry vulnerability, and there was a patch management system that belonged to an RMM company. I don't remember who it was, or I probably shouldn't say, but there was an issue where it wasn't picking up the Windows patch associated, or the one that patched that vulnerability, and they ran into a lot of trouble, and the MSPs that were using their software, their customers fell prey to that vulnerability because the patch management system wasn't working properly. Had they had something like this, it would have checked on top of it and made sure that that didn't happen. Changes on lockdown systems. So you have these computers like your DMZ devices, your domain controller, and you probably should not be having regular changes on these devices. So if somebody even installs a new application or maybe plugs in a thumb drive, it's going to detect that, and it's going to send out an email alert saying that there was a change to a lockdown system. So those machines that should not have any configuration changes, we'll keep an eye on those. And then network security here, this is where your vulnerability scan comes into play. So you've got your high severity and medium severity vulnerabilities. So we're looking at all the private IP addresses, and we're looking for open ports and running a series of vulnerability tests against all those open ports. And when we find a vulnerability, we'll send an email alert saying that we found a vulnerability, and you should probably go investigate it. Here's everything you need in order to resolve this specific vulnerability. Changes to group policy, DNS changes, people connecting to SSIDs that they're not authorized to. And our last one here is data security. So this kind of goes back to your compliance. So we'll do a PII scan, an EPHI scan, as well as a cardholder data scan. Now this is optional here, but just keep in mind that you do have the ability to do this. If you have customers who are subject again to HIPAA regulations or to PCI rules, you can enable these, and we'll do a sensitive data scan every week, and we'll let you know when we find this type of data on computers where it's not authorized to be, just making sure that this sensitive information is only on the machines where it's supposed to be. Breach detection. This is another one of our policies as well. So what this is doing, and there's two different levels, but what it's really doing is it's scanning every machine and it's looking for advanced persistent threats as well as footholds. So it's scouring through the registry and it's looking for malicious code and things that would be considered malware and things that are typically going to get missed by your antivirus. So this scan is happening once a week by default, and that's called the breach detection, which is a standard breach detection system here. So every week this scan is going to happen, and we'll tell you which machine this where we think we found a potential foothold or an advanced persistent threat. There's also the advanced breach detection system, which is the bottom one here, which happens every day. This is an additional charge. It's a small fee for every customer, but this scan will happen every single day, and it gives you more detailed information whenever we do find a potential breach. Alerting, these are generated on a daily schedule. You choose what time you want these alerts to come out and what days of the week you want them to be generated. You can send these to your technicians or you can send them to your customers. So there's some of these alerts where you may want to send to the end user and just have them determine if they want you to investigate this event or not. So if we find some suspicious login behavior, you might want to send that to your end user and have them determine if they want you to go investigate this event or not. And then things like new devices, probably email your technician and have them go investigate it. And within these emails that we send to your customers, there'll be action items embedded in there, which they can select yes or no. And if they select yes, it'll send an email to the technician. If they select no, it'll be ignored. So it's a interactive email, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes. This is an example of what one of these email alerts looks like. So restrict access to IT admin only restricted computers to IT administrators. What this is saying is that somebody was added as a domain admin. So there's been a security group change here, and somebody is now a domain admin that was not before. Looks like wait, hold on a second. No, I'm getting ahead of myself here. This is saying that there is somebody who tried to log into a machine that is restricted only to IT administrators. So probably like a DMZ device or a domain controller or something. Some machine that only IT admins should be logging into, and this person here is not an IT admin, and they tried to log into this system here. Restrict IT administrative access to minimum necessary. So this is where we're looking at a security group change. So this user here was added as a domain admin to this domain. And that's what it's saying here, is that there was a security group change from yesterday. This person wasn't a domain admin yesterday, but they are today. Do you want us to do anything about it? And this is what the email would look like if it went to your end user. See, it's got this yes or no button here. So they can click, yes, I want this to be investigated, or no, I don't care about this, and we'll ignore it for now. Authorize new devices to be added to restricted networks. This is just saying that there's a new device online that was not there the day before. And here's the IP address here. And this is, again, one that would go to your customer. You can select yes or no here. Yes, I want this investigated, or no, I don't care about this. You can ignore it for now. Now let's get into what this actually looks like. So what I'm going to show you here is our portal. So this is our CyberHawk portal, and this is where everything is going to be managed. Each one of these little rectangles here represents a different customer site. And if I was going to create a new one, like I could go to add site here, and I could call it, you know, CyberHawk site 1234 or something. I can click CyberHawk, hit next, and that'll generate a new CyberHawk site. From there, I would just need to go to my customer's location, a remote in, install the CyberHawk software, and then I could begin my setup. And I'm going to use this site here for our demo purposes, this Justin malware test site. So once I have this installed, all I need to do is go to my settings here, and I can set up my scan settings. You remember from what I said before, all you have to do is type in some scan parameters here. So my domain admin credentials, since I'm on a domain here, it's going to ask for my IP range, my SNMP community strings, among a few other things. And then once I type that in here, I go next to the end and I save it. And CyberHawk's going to remember these settings, and it's going to use these settings for its daily scan, so it knows what credentials to use and what IP range to really scan. You can set up your schedules from within here as well. What time do you want these scans to happen? And then when do you want your alerts to come out, and what days of the week do you want them to be generated? You can also set up your policy configuration from within here as well. I already went through all these, so I'm not going to spend too much time in here, but this is just selecting and deselecting which alerts or which policies you're interested in, and you can deselect the ones that you don't really care about. If you're selling this as a tiered offering, you can edit these service plans or create these service plans from within here, and you can set it up to silver, gold, platinum, titanium, diamond, or you can create your own. You can edit these. You have full control over this, but we have some pre-populated ones in here. So if I'm selling this as a silver offering to this particular customer, maybe I'm charging them $100 a month or something, I can select silver, and all of the appropriate policies will check for whatever I have pre-populated within that silver plan. Just makes it a little bit easier if you're trying to install this on a multitude of customers in a very short amount of time. Makes your life a little bit easier. So once you select your policies, then you just go in here and you can select what action you want to take for any of these policy violations that we find. So authorize new devices to be added to restricted networks. This is where somebody added a computer or a device that wasn't there before, and we probably want our technician to go investigate this. So I would probably have my technician get an email and tell them that we found a new device on this network. They need to go investigate it and take action. Suspicious logins by users. So this is something I probably want to send to my end user maybe, because they know their employees' login behavior better than me. I don't want to be chasing down suspicious login activity that I don't really need to, because they're not really interested in. So I can send this to the supervisor or the business owner and let them decide if they want me to investigate this further. And then things like vulnerabilities and missing patches, you probably just want to generate a ticket within your PSA, and just automatically generate a ticket, and it can be handled through there. So different actions for different policy violations, and that's totally up to you how you want these to be handled. So once you have all this set up, and this is most of the setup here, there's a couple more things, but once all this is set up and you have your configuration set, whenever there's a policy violation, it's all going to be generated within this to-do list here. So this is my to-do list, and this is what the technician would see when they're going through this individual customer and looking at all the events that have happened over the past day or two, and this is how everything is handled. So like here, we found some malicious software, potential security breach. I can click on this, and it looks like this computer here, we found some potential malware. So this is the result of our breach detection scan. I can click View Details here, and it gives me a little bit more information. So here is a file path to where we found this particular executable. Here's the particular executable here, as well as the command. So you can have your technician go investigate this and then take appropriate action, quarantine the file, delete it, whatever they need to do, or it could be a false positive. And then once they're finished, they can mark it as complete. Or if they want to just generate a ticket, you want to track this in your PSA, you can do that as well from here. Once that's done, they move on to the next event here. So you can see here, it's very simple. It's pretty much just a sequence of going through and resolving all these issues that we found. Unauthorized access to an accounting computer. I can click on this here. Looks like this user logged into this machine and they're not an authorized accounting user. So here I have a couple different options. So maybe this user here is a new employee and they're a new accountant, and I forgot to update my configuration settings here. So I can add them as an accounting user, mark it as complete, and then I won't see this again for that user because now CyberHawk knows that this is an authorized accounting user and they're supposed to be logging into those types of machines. Or maybe they're an IT admin and I forgot to tag them in here, or add them as an IT admin. I can update the settings from within here, and it knows that they're supposed to be logging into most all machines because they're going to be doing regular updates and maintenance. Or maybe this computer was repurposed, and it's no longer an accounting computer. Now it's just in the conference room. Everybody accesses it all the time, no big deal. I can remove that tag from this computer, and I'll never get this notification for this machine, or this type of notification for this machine anymore. Or I need to go investigate this. I can create a ticket or do nothing. And if you have no idea what to do, you can always click the recommended response plan here. I can click on this and we'll walk you through step by step on what we would do in this particular situation if this were to happen in our network. So if you are completely clueless, you always have this to fall back on, and we'll walk you through what you should do or what we would do in this particular situation. And that is about it. I think that should give you a really good idea of how this works, and then what the setup looks like, and then what you're really getting into as far as maintenance and what your technicians are going to be dealing with as far as workload. So fairly simple to use, and it's a really good economical security solution that you can use at all of your different customer locations, and it's very easy to manage. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Mark.
Thanks very much, Ty. All right. Can you hear me okay and see my screen?
I can.
Great. So let me talk about some of the offerings built in sales materials. Kind of what Ty's already showed you, especially with the service plans, is we've got some built-in tiered offerings, and they're really designed to appeal to all the different cohorts of your customer base. So the bronze plan, and I'll show you what we've put as far as the policies in each one in just a moment. But the bronze plan is something that you can even give away to your customers, something that could come with your managed services plan. So if it's not something that you think you can sell but want to provide them an internal service to get started and then upsell them later on, you would start with the bronze plan. Oops, hit the wrong button, sorry guys. The next plan would be the silver plan. And typically we see our customers charging $100 to $200 or so per month for the silver plan. The gold plan, designed to appeal to the top 80% of your customers, 20% of your customers that provide, that 80% of your revenues. And this is something that'd be in the $250 on up to $500, depending upon the market, their size, what vertical they're in, that kind of thing. And finally, the platinum plan is something that would augment your compliance services. Ty went through the two installations before, and the way we've designed the plan is the bronze and silver plan can be serviced with just the Windows installer, which is the simpler, lower resource requirement. That's something you can even do remotely, which is important, in these times. The gold plan and platinum plan, both as Ty mentioned, both of those plans include the scanning for the internal vulnerability scanning and therefore would require the virtual machine installation. But let's talk about the different plans now. So the bronze plan, again, this could be free or very, very low cost, think $0 to $29 kind of thing. And the policies that we're monitoring are designed for the most part to require no intervention by your techs. You would have those alerts go to your customers. So this really could appeal to every one of your customers, keeps security top of mind, gets them involved in the process, and begins to create that differentiation because you're offering a security plan to your customers, and of course it's stickier. And we've also got a tool built in that can help upsell from the bronze plan to a higher level plan. The policy set that's included here. So those first, I guess there are 5 of those, are restrict access kind of things. So basically we're monitoring for unauthorized attempted access or access to various machines. So you'd get an alert if an unauthorized user attempted to access an accounting computer, or similarly, someone tried to access a business owner computer, it was not one of the owners. And then the last two policies there, we would alert you or your customer if there was a new user added to the domain, or there's a new local computer administrator added. So a machine comes onto the network or somebody gets their rights elevated. These are things you would want to know about, but the top ones are something that would go directly to your customers. And the idea here being these alerts go to your customer because, let's use the accounting computer example. If somebody logs in and we determine that they're not in the authorized use list and you got the alert, you would have to call your customer and say, hey, this Mark Winter just attempted to log into one of your accounting systems. Is he authorized or not? That's just going to take you time, and you're going to have to contact the customer anyway. Better to let them tell you if anything is required on their part, right? As Ty showed you, you could add Mark Winter to the authorized list as a customer yourself without having to involve you as the MSP. The silver level plan, also a lower cost plan. Again, like I said, starting around $100. I don't know, make it 89, make it 119, doesn't matter. It's up to you to figure out your pricing. But again, appeals to all of your clients, and it's going to add to the set of internal security concerns that we're monitoring. The idea here still being that there's very minimal effort required from you once you've installed this and configured it. So to that basic set, we're adding these policies. Authorize new devices to be added to restricted networks. Users should only access authorized systems and only connect to authorized printers. In the computer area, install critical patches so you get alerted if there was a network computer that remained unpatched for 30 days. And then those other two, only connect to authorized wireless networks. And we're now suggesting that you turn on the weekly breach detection scanning. There's no extra cost for you to that, and that's a very powerful scan because it's looking for footholds in APTs that could be on the network. The gold level. Again, like I said, or I missaid before, this really targets the top 20% of your customers who are your more profitable customers. Adding even more policies to the plan. And again, we're turning on that internal vulnerability scanning. So adding to what we had in the silver, we're going to now look for anomalous login behavior. So look for suspicious logons to computers or by user accounts. In the computer area, we're going to alert on any changes to a computer that's marked as locked down, whether it truly is or not. You're going to want to know if changes are made to that. Restrict internet access for computers that are not authorized to access the internet directly. And we're going to look for computers in the DMZ that remain unpatched within 30 days. And in the network security, that first bullet there, remediate high severity internal vulnerabilities. So we're going to alert on only the high severity vulnerabilities that are found. These are going to be a CVSS score of 7 or above. And also we'll detect malicious software potential breaches by turning on the advanced breach detection system. There is an additional monthly cost to you for that, but this then makes this a daily scan and a deeper scan with more information provided to you. Definitely worth the extra money on the gold plan. The platinum plan, again, designed for your compliance level customers or your premium VIP customers. Keep in mind, compliance is more than just the required reporting. It's also about detecting and fixing the issues as they're found. And so what we're looking for here now are some additional policies that we're monitoring. We're going to be scanning the system and looking for EPHI. Those would be anybody that's covered by HIPAA. We're also looking for PII and other personal information stored on machines. And if there are unauthorized machines with that, that would create an alert because it's a potential vulnerability. In the network side, we're alerting now with our internal vulnerability scan of level 4 and up. So this is potentially going to provide more issues are going to be detected, at least at first. But that's what PCI requires, is CVSS 4 and above, which are your medium. We're also looking for any changes to the internal wired and wireless networks. There's also a companion white paper. So it's going to go through in even more detail than I did what those 4 plans are. And again, as Ty and I both have mentioned, you can change those plans up and create your own set, change the names, whatever you want to do. And as you're thinking about changing the plans, one thing you're probably thinking is, how do I communicate this to my customers? So we've got a service plan catalog creator. So if you take our 4 plans and make it 3, and you kind of change the names or change up what's in them, we'll dynamically create and automatically create the matrix, as well as a policies and procedures documentation that shows what's in each of the plans and a description of what's being covered. Again, all there to help you sell. We've got marketing literature, which you can brand along with a PowerPoint to help you sell. We have an MSSA. You can use that out of the box if you want to. Of course, state laws vary. Make sure you have somebody, a lawyer review that if you're going to use our MSA. But perhaps more important is the Exhibit A policies and procedures. So let's say Stuart Brown Manufacturing is one of your customers, and you present the plan to him, and you guys both decide it's the gold plan for $159 a month, and you're going to remove a couple of things but add a couple of things at the same time. Well, how do you document all that? You don't have to. We're going to do that for you. So from within the tool, we'll output that policies and procedures, attach it to your statement of work, and you're ready to go. There's a weekly and monthly alert summary that you will get. So this kind of gives you some documentation for what the tool is doing, what it's finding, and it gives you some stats. But also, you can see on the right-hand side here, high-risk security issues detected but not alerted. So there were 934 of those. So even if you don't have some policies turned on, CyberHawk's noting that there were instances, but based on the fact that that setting was not turned on, it's not doing any alerts, but it's counting them. So you can say, you know what, Mr. Customer, we've got a lot of these issues here that we're seeing. We really think we need to move you up to the gold plan from the silver. It's just an extra $100 a month. So you can help show the value of what CyberHawk's doing, even if it's not being reported on. Finally, there's something called powered services, and we're really excited about this. So there's powered services for security, compliance, and also for network detective. And Powered Services is a self-service portal that is designed to help you sell services. It's got built-in runbooks. It has graphics that you can use in your social marketing. It's got playbooks. It's got a ton of information, and they're adding to that every month and even weekly. And for the money, this comes free with your subscription to CyberHawk, by the way. And I'll tell you, for the cost of CyberHawk, having access to Powered Services, the fact that we can provide you graphics at that kind of cost, unlimited use, it's almost worth the price of CyberHawk itself, and I'll get to that in a minute. So let me recap. CyberHawk was designed as a platform that's enabling technology for you guys, for MSPs. It monitors a network on a daily basis. It does a scan and then creates the alerts as well as the insights into, violations of policies that you want enforced on the network. You've got the portal that saves you time, and your customer can access the portal via the emails they get, engages them in the process, saving you time because they can self-remediate. And with the tiered plans and the way we've set this up, it can be an affordable service for every one of your clients, right? Some of your customers you'll give it away to and just make it part of your managed services, and in your next annual true-up, you can begin charging for it. But use it as you see fit to generate that recurring revenue for you. So your client, more secure environment. We're going to be detecting for you anomalous user login behavior, which you could, do the forensics on and decide if there was rogue activity or not. There's the breach detection, internal vulnerability scanning. At the end of the day, you'll be able to fix problems as they arise and have more infrastructure reliability for your customers and begin to provide them with that security service. Value to you. It's cost effective. I'm going to talk about, I've already talked about the licensing, right? You can run it out to every one of your customers. It's 250 or fewer Windows services. No limit except if you have multiple locations and need multiple licenses. You don't have to have very expensive security staff. It's not noisy like a SIM tool, and it's not as expensive as SIM and SOC solutions. This is something that you can put out to every one of your customers and create that new recurring revenue service. And I really do think this differentiates you. And, you know, I believe you've got to start beginning to provide security services, because if you're not, other people will. And while you may still be their MSP for a short period of time, you know, over time, other MSPs will use security services as that wedge to get into your accounts. So let me talk a little bit about licensing and pricing. I've already kind of gone over this. For MSPs who have just a single location and work in a single area, so you know you're in San Diego and you, for the most part, just work in the San Diego area, you need one license. It's unlimited deployment of CyberHawk to every one of your customer sites. That is 250 or fewer computers. We do have higher level licensing, which our sales team can share with you if you've got larger customers. There's no limits to the scans or the alerting. You get the breach detection system, the standard weekly scans included, and of course we'll get you trained, onboarded, and you know all updates to the product and no charge as part of the subscription. If you do want to go with the advanced breach detection, you know, pick the customers you want that for. It's just an extra $50 a month, well worth it. And you can turn it on and try it for free for the first 30 days on any or all of your customers. So the list price for CyberHawk is $4.99 per month. Again, unlimited use. That's for a 1-year term. For a 3-year term, our standard pricing is $3.99, which is a $1,200 per year saving. But for tag members, as part of this webinar, and I think this is better pricing than your standard tag pricing. I don't know how much more off that is a month. Forget it. I can't do the math today. It's a long day. But it'd be just $3.19 a month, and that's a savings of over $2,000 if the marketing did the pricing right. $2,000 a year, that can't be right compared to the $500 pricing. In any case, the $3.19 a month is a terrific value, especially for the 3-year, because you're going to lock it in and avoid any price increases for that full 3 years. This special offer is available at this URL. The special pricing ends April 10th. My CEO and our business unit president would say we'd appreciate you buy before the end of the quarter today. But we did set this up. You've got some time. You can talk with Ty or any of our sales associates if you have questions, talk internally. You know, reach out to me if you like. Happy to answer questions and make sure that this is the right fit for you. I'll leave this on the screen if you guys have any Q&A, because I think we do have a few minutes. But you guys may have another webinar after this. I don't know. But here is the deal. I'll leave this up here. Email us at sales@RapidFire Tools if you have any questions or want somebody to reach out to you.
We could definitely open it up for questions. Would anybody like to ask a question? Or chat a question?
Could we get the deck you just showed sent to us?
Absolutely. In fact, I am told that they are posting that on that landing page for you. Also, that white paper, the picture on the right, that should also be on that website for you, on that landing page.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm on the page now. And so here's where you can download the slide deck. I don't know if, so we've posted an older version of this here. So this is available if you want to share it to other folks now. So I guess Ty and I must have done a webinar not that long ago, which is probably very similar but not exact.
Okay. All right. Well, unless there's any questions, this has been recorded. This information will be going out to everybody. So we want to thank again Mark's time, Ty's time. We greatly appreciate it. It's a great program that they have. It's a great offering for our members. We're thrilled to be in partnership with them And obviously, you can contact Mark anytime. His contact information is also on the TAG RapidFire Tools partner page. So please visit that page. Anything else before we end, Mark? Oh, we have a chat.
No, sorry that your conference, like all conferences these days, has been postponed, but look forward to working with TAG for the rest of the year and longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
so we appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're all set for November. We have the date selected. The conference website, the convention website has been updated, and we're ready to go in November. So we'll happy to see everybody in person on this call with Mark at our convention in the fall. So again, thank you for your time, everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to everybody soon.